And we conclude this week with Warren's highlights from TalkBack.
We continue now with our theme of highlights from TalkBack, and this is installment 17. In our last installment 16, we talked about home screen management. Today I'll be talking about 3 items. We'll be talking about how to get to the notification center and to the quick settings or quick panel, and then we'll conclude with customization of your keyboard on screen or physical keyboard. In today's demonstration, I'll be using my Pixel 5a running Android 12L beta as well as TalkBack 12.1. In the way of a TTS engine, I'll be using the Seraproc using the Megan voice. I am on my home screen now, and I will now show you how to get to your notification center or notification shade. To show your notification center, in other words, to see what has come in the way of a text message or a missed call or some other notification, all that it takes is swiping down from the very top of the screen with 2 fingers downwards, and that reveals the notification center. For a sighted person, that involves just a single finger, but where a sighted person uses 1 finger, it calls for 2 fingers for a blind user, and where it calls for 2 fingers for a sighted person, that calls for 3 for those of us who are blind. So in summary, when a sighted person uses a single finger, I, as a blind person, employs 2. And when they need 2, I employ the 3rd. For that reason now, to show my notification center, I will swipe down from the very top with 2 fingers, and that should reveal my notification center. I will now swipe down with 2 fingers.
Notification shade. 12:15 p.m.
I swipe down with 2 fingers, and it says notification center or notification shade and says the time. If I put my finger down,
Bay for bullet 1922.
When you pull down your notification shade, the last item that is from your quick settings is showing at the very top of the notification items. In other words, just above that notification, you'll see the last item or the last 2 items. That is the last row partially showing from your quick settings. And below that will be all of your notification items. And so I'll put my finger down again, move my finger down slightly.
Blind Android users chat. Bullet. Telegram.
There's the blind Android users chat from our Telegram group. And if I move my finger down,
Reply to blind Android user.
there's a reply button, so I could tap there to reply, and then to the right of that would be
Mark as read button.
and then
Notification snooze options button.
here I can go in and choose whether to have this thing snoozed or place it in the silent column. That's going to be a total episode on its own, but this is simply to show you how to get to your notifications from your home screen. Now below that, if we have another notification item,
Chris Cuomo suffers another blow after.
there's another notification there. Now, if I want to swipe away this notification that talks about Chris Cuomo, all that it involves is using 2 fingers and swiping either left or right from the middle of the phone, and that will do away with that particular notification. I'll go ahead and do that, and you see what I'm talking about. I'll now swipe from left to right from the middle of the phone.
12.
And put my finger down.
Blind Android users chat.
That's all I have, and if I move my finger down,
Clear all notifications.
I have clear all notifications. I have swiped away that, and all that I have left in the way of a notification is the one for blind Android users. If I want to go to the quick settings or the quick panel from here where I'm sitting at, which is in the notification shade, all that I have to do is swipe down again with 2 fingers.
Quick settings.
Now that I swipe down with 2 fingers, we hear quick settings. And if I put my finger down,
Display brightness.
there's
Slider.
display brightness, go down,
Internet comma theme mesh.
internet,
Bluetooth. Do not disturb. Flashlight. Switch.
and there are two pages here in my center, but I do want to point out here that whether you're on page 2 or page 1, at the bottom of the list of the items found on each of those pages are 3 items. At the bottom left, we have
Edit order of settings button.
Edit order of settings. To the right of that,
Power menu button.
Power menu.
Open settings
And
button.
open settings. Now, the edit order of settings entails the movement. In other words, if you want to move one item from one position to another, for instance, if I want to move my internet connectivity thing to second position or the third position, or even move it to the second page, that is what I will do in order to move it. Now, to the right of that is the power management. That means you could tap on that and just go ahead and choose whether to power down the device or restart the device and things like that. And the last one on the right hand is the one that is very familiar to everybody. Tapping on Open Settings will take you to the system settings where you could find all the settings relating to your phone. And now I will navigate my way back to my home screen by swiping from the bottom of the phone with 2 fingers upward and go back home.
Pixel launcher.
Now, I talked about using 3 fingers. So in other words, if I simply want to jump to the quick settings or quick panel without the need of swiping down, opening up notification, and then swiping down again with 2 fingers to open up the quick settings or quick panel, all I need to do is using 3 fingers, swipe down from the very top of the phone with 3 fingers to reveal that quick panel. I will now demonstrate that by swiping down with 3 fingers from the top of the phone and swiping all the way down.
Quick settings. Page 1 of 2. Collapsed.
And there's my quick settings. By simply swiping down from the very top of the glass with 3
Wi-Fi
fingers
signal.
downward, I open up the quick settings panel. I'll now navigate home.
Pixel launcher.
The last item in this entry will be the customization of the keyboard, and that has to do with either an on-screen or physical keyboard. In other words, we're going to go in and customize to say either characters and words, or say nothing at all when I hit the space bar. I will now invoke the TalkBack menu by tapping with 3 fingers, since this phone supports multi-finger gestures.
TalkBack menu. Navigation. In list.
I am now in the TalkBack menu, and the next thing I would like to do is to find and tap on TalkBack settings, which is the second to the last item just above the text-to-speech settings.
TalkBack settings.
Let's go ahead and tap here.
TalkBack settings. Navigate up button. Out of list.
We are now in the TalkBack settings. What we will be looking for is an item here called verbosity. I'll put my finger down, find and tap on verbosity.
Verbosity.
There is our verbosity, and I'll tap.
Verbosity. Navigate up button. Out of list.
Tapping on verbosity, what we're looking for is an item that talks about keyboard. I will now scroll down and will first talk about the on-screen keyboard.
Keyboard echo. On-screen keyboard. Characters and words.
So by default, whether using an on-screen keyboard or physical keyboard, when we type, Gboard would say the character, and when we hit the space bar after finishing typing a word, it will say the word. For example, if I type in the word D-O-G for dog, and I hit the space bar, it will say dog. Let's go in here now and see the customization for the on-screen keyboard.
On-screen keyboard. None. In list.
Tapping on-screen keyboard, the first item we hear is none. In other words, if I tap here, I'll be setting it to none. Say nothing at all. The next item here is
Characters. Showing
Characters,
items one.
that means it's going to say character by character as I type.
Words.
Words, in other words, if I type the word dog, it's not going to say the characters. After I find a character, after I find letter, for example, and find letter D, and I lift my finger, it's not going to repeat D. But when I'm done and I got to letter G and I find letter G and lift my finger, it's not going to say letter G, but after I hit the space bar, it will say dog. Next item.
Characters and words. Checked. Characters and words.
And like I said, this is by default. Whether it's this on-screen keyboard or the physical keyboard, it is set to characters and words. In other words, if I'm typing that word dog, D-O-G, when I find the letter D, it will say D. And if I lift my finger, it will go ahead and say D again. And then at the end of letter G, and lifting my finger and it says letter G and I hit space, it will say dog. Let's show you what I'm talking about, and then we'll come back quickly and go change to using none. I'll now navigate out of here by going home.
Pixel launch.
I will now simply bring up the assistant and tell it to open Keep Notes. Open Keep Notes.
Keep notes. New list.
There's my Keep Notes, and at the bottom I'll find and tap on New Text Note.
New text note. Button. Out of note. Note. Edit box for note body. In list. Showing English US. QWERTY. Keyboard.
I am in a new text note. I'm going to put my finger down and find letter D, because remember, this is now using the default setting.
Capital D. Delta. Capital D.
I put my finger down on letter D, and then it says delta, and when I lifted my finger, it says capital D. Now I'll put my finger on letter O.
O. O.
I lifted my finger, and it says O. I'll put my finger down.
G. Golf. G.
Lift my finger, it says G. Now hit the space bar.
Space. Dog.
And there it is. It says dog. Now let's go back to the TalkBack menu and go set it to none. I'll tap with 3 fingers.
TalkBack menu. Navigation. Text-to-speech settings. TalkBack settings.
Tap on TalkBack settings.
Keyboard hit.
And now
Showing
tap
item.
on verbosity.
Verbosity.
Now scroll down and tap on on-screen keyboard.
Keyboard echo. On-screen keyboard. Characters and words.
Let's tap here.
Keyboard echo. On-screen keyboard. None. In list.
This time we're going to tap on none.
Verbosity. Keyboard echo. On-screen keyboard. None. In list.
Now I'm going to go back to Google Keep Notes. Swipe
TalkBack settings.
back.
Showing English US. QWERTY. Keyboard. Keep notes. Dog. Edit box. Editing. Note for.
So there I am. I'm back to my Keep Notes, and I'm still in that editing field with that word dog. I'm going to hit the space bar, or rather the delete key, to erase the word dog.
Delete. Space deleted. Delete. Capital D deleted.
Okay, so I have erased the word dog, and now I'm going to retype the word dog, this time with my keyboard set to none. In other words, it's going to tell me the keys as I move my finger around, but when I lift my finger, it's not going to repeat that letter. Here's what I'm talking about.
Capital D. Delta.
Lift my finger, and I didn't hear D. Now I'll put my finger down on letter O and lift it.
O.
Lift it. It didn't repeat letter O. Now find letter G and lift it.
G.
It didn't repeat letter G. Now I'm going to hit the space.
Space.
I lifted my finger on spacebar and I did not hear the word dog. So it is showing that I have set my keyboard to none. Of course, I will need to be able to know what keys I'm hearing, but after I lift my finger, it's not going to repeat the letter I just touched. And also hitting the spacebar is not going to tell me the word I just typed. Put my finger down.
Dog. Edit box. Editing. Note for note body.
There's my dog. Now the next thing I would like to do is to use the physical keyboard. And I have paired my Logitech K850 with my phone. I'll turn it on.
Configure physical keyboard. Tap to select language and layout. English US, QWERTY. Keyboard hidden. Keep notes.
And immediately it closes my on-screen keyboard. And since by default this is also set to characters and words, there's no need for me to go in and switch to characters and words mode. I will simply go ahead and type here. But first, I'm going to hit the backspace to erase the word dog that we wrote earlier with our on-screen keyboard. I'll now hit the backspace.
Space deleted. G deleted. O deleted. Capital D deleted.
There we go. Now, I'm going to start typing with one finger. Put my finger on my keyboard.
D.
I put my finger on letter D. I lift it and it says D because it's set to characters and words. I'll put my finger on letter O.
O.
And now I'll put my finger on letter G.
G.
Hit the space bar.
Dog.
There's my dog. And if I go right.
Space. G. O. D. Beginning of field.
And if I just do control right arrow.
Dog.
And if I do control shift left arrow.
Dog. Selected.
There we go. Now I'm going to go back in the TalkBack menu and go set it to none.
TalkBack menu. Editing.
Go to TalkBack settings.
TalkBack settings. TalkBack settings. Navigate
Go
up.
to verbosity.
Verbosity. Navigate up. Button.
Now I'm going to go down to physical keyboard instead of on-screen keyboard.
Keyboard echo. Physical keyboard. Characters and words. Keyboard echo. Keyboard echo. Physical keyboard. None in list.
I tapped on that and it says none. I'll tap on none.
Verbosity. Keyboard echo. Physical keyboard. None in.
Now I'll go back to Google Keep Notes. I'm going to hit the back and back and back.
Top. Showing board. Keep notes. Dog. Edit box. Editing. Note for note body. In list.
I will now put the phone down and use my two hands to type since I've set it to none. And I'll go ahead and type.
Selected text.
We already selected the word dog earlier, so I'm just going to type over it, and I hope it types over it. Here I go.
Replace.
Alright, I just finished a little typing and I'll just up arrow and hear what I type.
We appreciate each and every one of you. Blind Android Users Podcast. Thank you for taking your time to listen to the beginning of field.
So I have typed in the following.
Thank you for taking your time to listen to the Blind Android Users Podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you. Edit box. Editing.
And that's what I typed. Now, so I could go down.
Thank you for taking your time to listen to the
I go down.
Blind Android Users Podcast.
And I could read character by character or word by word.
Podcast.
I'm doing control left arrow.
Users. Android. Blind. B2. Listen to. Time. You're taking. For. You. Thank. Beginning of field.
I am at the beginning of that. And I could select character by character or word by word, just like I would on my computer. Go and select word by word.
Thank. Selected. You. Selected.
Now character by character.
Space. F. O. R. Selected.
Now, or I could do a select all with Control A to select all. I will now go ahead and do Control A to select all.
Select a text. Thank you for taking your time to listen to the Blind Android Users podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you.
And that concludes installment 17, where we talked about how to get to the notification shade, the quick settings, and customization of your keyboard, be it an on-screen keyboard or a physical keyboard.
So, Warren, I think the question we need to ask you after this is, are you any closer to installing G Shuo?
It's one of those things that you can't really get me to doing. And so if anyone is pining away for when Warren is going to install Joshua, like Austin used to say, forget it. Joshua's not coming anywhere close to my phone.
Austin, where can people find us?
People can find us on our website, blindandroidusers.com. They can email us if they have any questions to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. They can subscribe to our mailing list, Blind Android Users, plus subscribe at groups.io. They can join our Telegram group, Twitter, Clubhouse, and YouTube. The links will be in the show notes. So that is it from episode 53.
Google Fi.
Yeah.
See you next week,
And
folks.
bye, everybody. We love you.
Bye-bye.
And that has been another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. As always, we appreciate hearing from you. You send those email messages to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. For those My Android Journey stories, we encourage you to send those to myandroidjourney at blindandroidusers.com. Until we see you in our next episode, you have a wonderful day.